Hello everyone and welcome to this video, Signs of Soul Connections in Astrology Part 8. And now we're going to talk about soul twins. Soul twins are another form of divine counterparts. It is a not very rare kind that can easily be confused with twin flame connections, and we're going to talk about this special connection right now. If you have watched my 2.5-hour video on different kind of divine counterpart connection, I think it's even longer than 2.5 hours, then you will already know basically what I'm talking about. In this video, I just thought I'm taking that information and giving it to you in a more compressed manner, just simply based on soul twins. So let's talk about that. First of all, I want to repeat the purpose of soul connections, and then we're going to talk about soul twins and then soul twins in astrology. So the purpose of soul connections, as I said, I wanted to repeat this a little bit just to make it very, very clear. Okay, there are several types of divine counterpart connections. A divine counterpart is your forever person you can grow old with, your person, your true love, you could say, the one you meet when you have already done all of the healing work, or they help you do the healing work, and then you get to be in union with them and grow old with them. Unless we can always manifest and we can always choose to take care of our connections or not, but usually soul twin connections, they're very harmonious. We're going to talk about that as well. And it's very important to me to point out that all soul connections are equal, so none is better than the other. So twin flames, yes, it's a very rare connection, but it doesn't mean that it is better than others. It's just a different blueprint. It's just something else that your soul decided to live while coming down here, but it's not better. So twin flames, there are only one, or rather two, forms of divine counterpart connections. Why two forms? You were talking about split twin flames and monadic twin flames, but there's other kind of divine counterpart connections like the soul twins and like the mirror souls, or a soulmate, of course, can also be a divine counterpart. We already covered those. I'm going to cover soul twins soon, next video probably. The souls chose which experience or connection they wanted to have prior to incarnation. So that is nothing that you can manifest. You cannot start looking for a twin flame if you're not a twin flame. That's not possible. But however, that's what I always say in my manifestation videos, you still can manifest true love. Ditch the label. It's your soul chose which experience you have to, it wants to experience, and your ego does not get to say, no, I don't want this, I want another, I want to be a twin flame because then I'm more special, something like that. That's something that the ego would do, of course, not your soul. So as you can read, the ego cannot choose which connection, and it has been decided by a higher version of you. And then some soul connections are more harmonious than others, and this one is one of the most harmonious there is. So if you want to manifest something, again, I would ditch the label. I just would manifest my divine counterpart, my true love. But if you want to manifest something, then I would rather recommend you would manifest a soul twin and not a twin flame, because that is a bit more complicated. Just like your higher self chose your parents, your gender, your skin color, your physique, your nationality, your sexual orientation, and other factors that cannot be changed. Your soul chose if you're going to have the twin flame experience or not. But again, everybody can manifest a divine counterpart, because a divine counterpart would be like a more general approach. So divine counterpart is the, you could say, umbrella on top of the different kind of connections. So the different connections, they have different purposes, and they provide a different earthly experience for the souls to grow and ascend. But all soul connections can trigger an awakening and a healing process, all of them. For some soul connections, it is less about the ascending, but more about living a harmonious life with a divine counterpart, and that is more likely a soul twin connection. There may be some ascension going on here as well, of course, but not to the extent of a split twin, or especially not a monadic twin flame connection. But again, not every soul wants to experience that major trauma when it comes to a major ascension. Most souls that want to experience some trauma because they need contrast, they would attract a karmic connection and not, a divine counterpart. It's already implied a divine counterpart cannot be toxic, because toxic does not equal divine. It's the polar opposite. So yeah, soul twins. Let's talk about them. They are very close soulmate connection, one of the closest ones you can have after a twin flame connection, and they're very similar in vibration, but they're not complementary like twin flames are. We were talking about the yin yang energy and the complementary or the third energy and split twins in the past videos. Here they are very, very similar, and I do have some additional information on that in the longer video. This is a bit more condensed, but still you're going to get pretty much everything you need. You can have several soul twins. You've probably heard people talking about that. Oh yeah, you can have many twin flames. No, you have one twin flame, one split twin flame, and very, very few people have a monadic twin flame. But you can have several soul twins, and they can be even relatives and friends. It's just somebody who is very, very, very similar to you, and you feel this special connection. And maybe you heard some people talk about twin flames, and they're like, oh my god, I met my twin flame, and we got together right away, and it was harmonious, and there was no running, chasing, there was no arguing, it was completely harmonious. That's them. That's the soul twins, and they just get confused with twin flames, because a twin flame, and that's the most important aspect of a twin flame connection, is a split twin connection, the healing and the awakening. And in a monadic twin flame, you can only attract a monadic twin flame once you have healed and done the shadow work. Then it is more about ascension. Of course, you can ascend with a split twin as well, but a monadic twin flame is purely about that, about union as well. Of course, it is about coming together afterwards, but the sole purpose is the ascension, and the harmonious connection is the second purpose. Here, it is not so much about, I want to achieve this major spiritual ascension and awakening that takes years or maybe even decades. No, I want to have my very special romantic partner that I want to be in happy, harmonious union with, without all of that trauma. But of course, there can be still some kind of triggering as well, and I'm going to talk about that. So in a romantic soul connections, there is a soul recognition and often love at first sight. Remember, we were just talking about here, they don't have to be romantic partners. They can be, but a soul twin can also be your best friend or a close family member that you are very, very much alike. But when we're talking about romantic soul twin connections, there is a soul recognition. Of course, with your best friend, you can have a soul recognition as well. I had a soul recognition when I met my best friend. From day one, it was platonic love at first sight, and I knew I want to be her friend, and I'm usually pretty guarded, so that is very, very uncommon for me. But there is this recognition, there is this love at first sight. And the other person, we already said, it is very similar, and often, not always, they look alike. For me, my best friends, it is not like that. I mean, you saw my video, I'm Snow White and my best friend is black. So, I'm European, of course, she's African. So we don't look alike. Even though there still could be similarity, even if you are from different races. If, for example, you have a similar eye shape, or the shape of your nose is similar, or the shape of your facial structure, like the same cheekbones or hair color. So in twin flames, you often do see also people who look alike, and it could be like an Asian person and a Scandinavian person, and they often still have something in common. They still may have, for example, a similar facial structure, or their smile is a lot alike. So there often is some kind of likeness, but it is not always. And we're talking about twin flames here. Monadic twin flames, split twin flames often look complementary. They often look a lot like opposites. In soul twins, there often is a likeness. When you saw my videos about my personal experience, when I talk about a soul twin that I have met, I remember my back then best friend, she saw a picture and she was like, well, are you sure your dad didn't have an affair and it's like your secret half-brother or something? Because we actually do look somewhat alike, yes. And this is not a must. It is just something that can happen. My best friend, we do think alike a lot. She's very similar. We do have the same personality types. Maybe you know the 16 personality tests, and we are both INFPs. INFP, exactly, the mediator type. So there is this big similarity, but again, not in our looks. I'm right and she is not. But yeah, those connections, they are especially harmonious, and if you have unresolved traumas and issue, it can be triggering. When I met my soul twin, I met him actually pretty young, when I was 19, and he triggered, for me, he was a preparation to trigger me for my journey, healing journey, to be able to later attract the twin flame. So there was ghosting going on there because I still had a trauma connected to abandonment, and we can only attract mirrors no matter what label. And then of course, I mean, you cannot attract a monadic twin flame when you still have that going on and it's like deep rooted. But a soul twin may mirror something like that back to you. However, it is not a toxic connection, which means they would never abuse you in any way, but they may be mirroring. So if you are not in self-love, they may not show you how amazing you are, but they would not like tear you down or talk bad to you, or there wouldn't be any physical, mental, emotional abuse. But we do can have, depending on where you are in your journey, there may be something like withdrawing and ghosting. If you have healed that or never had that issue, then we go back to those twin flames twin flames, you don't see my finger movement, it is the twin flames in how do you call it, races, or in those little lines. Yeah, those are the ones that meet and are in union right away. So that's soul twins, not really twin flames. But as I said, yeah, the triggering, it will not be abusive as in karmic relationships. So if you are in a abusive relationship and there's, I don't know, verbal abuse or maybe even physical, or then it is not a divine counterpart. I already said it. It's important to me to always point that out. That is not a divine counterpart. A divine counterpart, doesn't matter if twin flame or any kind of divine counterpart, would not abuse you. They might ghost you. They might not show you that you're amazing. They might tell you, I don't want you, if you still have issues with that, but they will not be aggressive towards you in any way. That would be more like a karmic, and most definitely not a twin flame. So if you are in a situation like that, you can immediately rule out that it's a twin flame or any kind of divine counterpart. You can still make it work in the Twin Flame 101 playlist. I do have a video called Can I Turn a Karmic into a Life Partner? It is possible. But you can read it here. A runner-chaser dynamic might happen if there is fear of loss and abandonment, and then that wound gets triggered. So soul twins in love connections are usually best friends as well, and they do have the potential to stay together till the end of their lives. Unless, and that's the only thing that can be negative. As I said before, if you don't do your work, if you start treating your partner bad, or you start to neglect yourself, that will get mirrored, and then of course any kind of connection can break, even a soul twin connection. But usually they're extremely harmonious, and if they break up, then it would be more like because they live as brother and sister, because they don't always, it can have, but they don't always have like this extreme strong magnetism. I mean, usually have that in the beginning of a relationship, but in these connections it is something that can fade out after a while, that they do have the intense sexual chemistry, and then they are more like best friends and brothers and sisters. And then it could happen that they decide, okay, I'm married to my best friend right now, but I want a little more. And that could be a reason why, if they ever separate, then that would be most likely, the issue. We separate as friends because you're like my brother, you're like my sister, and you're not my lover that much anymore, and I want to experience that. But yeah, usually a very loving and caring connection with a lot of respect for each other, very harmonious. And they are at the same wavelength. As I said, my best friend and I have the same, out of 16 personalities, we do have the same INFP, like the mediator personality. And yeah, they just get each other because they're so much alike, and there's usually no big drama. And usually we don't have the on-off playing games. But however, if you still have unhealed stuff, that may happen. For me, it did happen because this connection was not meant for me to last. It was meant for me to start the spiritual journey, because I started asking myself questions like, oh my god, I never believed in love at first sight, and then I met this person that was love at first sight, which is weird, and I feel connected to someone which is very unlike me. But that triggered me to really go on a journey to start meditating, to understand this connection better. And that is why that man came into my life. He came for me to ask myself the right questions and start my healing journey, so that then later I was able to attract the split twin flame. And then after I successfully finished that journey, to draw in the monadic twin flame. So with your soul twin, you have spent many lives together, and you do feel the sense of being home with each other. Again, there's this complete trust and harmony for each other. It's this strong sense of belonging as well. So often they can get confused with twin soul or twin flame connections due to the strong pull and soul recognition. And yeah, I already told you that. Ever heard of those twin flames? And do we have the lines here that I was talking about? Those twin flames that got together easily, it is them. And that is one of the reasons why I'm making these videos, because there is so many different kind of divine counterpart connections that are all labeled the same, and that just creates confusion, because some people think, oh, do we have many twin flames? Oh wait, there's just harmony, there's no running chasing. And then there's people in karmic relationship, oh, twin flames are toxic, and all gets thrown into the same pot. And yeah, that's why I do these videos. They can, but they don't have to, in some cases, be a catalyst to prepare for a twin flame connection, to trigger a first or at least a spiritual awakening, to prepare for meeting a twin and for the twin flame journey. This is what happened with me personally. In the longer video, I was talking about, like, there was one entity, you can call it God, and that just kept on splitting and splitting and splitting. Then we do have like this group down here after numerous kind of splits, and that would be called a soul family or a monad. And a soul twin, if this would be you, you see it's a shade of blue and it is the line to the right. Let's say this, that doesn't matter if this is masculine or feminine. We talk about energy, not gender. Then you would of course attract the counterpart. If this was feminine, then let's say those would be masculine or vice versa. And they're all blue. They're different shade of blue. They're not the same. Okay, they vibe a lot alike, but they're not exactly the same. That is very important. But still, they do belong all to different shades of blue. So blue understands blue. There is this strong similarity and understanding. So if you already get some value out of this content and we're not done yet, please like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, check out my other video. This is part 8 of a series, so there's more videos to come, and there has been more videos that I already did. For more information, you can check out the long video on different kind of divine counterpart connections. It was one of the earliest one, not the first ones I ever did. And if you are interested in personal coaching, then you can reach out to me, because I am available for personal coaching. I am a psychic medium, I am an astrologer obviously, and I am a spiritual coach, and I have been spiritually coaching since 2005, talking to thousands of people. So if you need my assistance, you can find my information in the description box below. So let's talk about astrology. We are just dipping our toes in here, because honestly, for soul twins, there's not too much to say. Everything I said in previous videos about fated connections or different kind of divine counterpart connections or soulmate connections, you know, like the first videos, that of course may still apply here. Okay, so this is like an additional information. So yeah, they often share very similar frequency, and you see again, I wrote similar, not same. A same frequency would be a mirror soul. They are a lot of sameness. Here we have a lot of similarity, not sameness. So for that reason, they usually have the same elements. Yeah, it's the same element, not the same sign, strong in their birth chart. And so twins, they often have a lot of trines, which is the most harmonious aspect in astrology. And a synastry chart, I do have a video on that, is two birth charts placed on top of the other, your person's birth chart and your own, and then we see how do your birth planets correspond to the other person's birth planets, what kind of connections do they form, And in soul twins, we do have a lot of trines, and a trine is when planets are approximately 120 degrees apart, plus minus a couple of degrees. Yeah, it's the most harmonious, most flowing connection, because usually a trine comes from one element to the same element. Let's say you would be Aries, which would be fire, and then a trine would be Leo or Sagittarius, the other two fire signs. And you already see it is the same element but not the same sign. And then also their sun and or moon signs are often from the same element. We were covering this, I believe, in part 1 or 2 of this series, and I'm pretty sure it was part 1. So this means that if you are sun, moon, or rising sign from one element, the soul twin often is one of the other two signs from the same element. Already said it as an example. So if you are an Aries, then your person might be Leo or Sagittarius. If you're Leo, they might be Aries or Sagittarius. And we do have it going on with all of the elements. So if you are Gemini, then your person might be a Libra or Aquarius, sun, moon, rising. And water, of course, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. If you're Scorpio, they might have Cancer or Pisces. But it doesn't have to be the sun sign. It could also be one person having a sun sign, for example in Aries, and the other person has the moon or the rising sign in Leo or Sagittarius. And if they form a trine, and again it's 100 degrees apart approximately, then that aspect would be even stronger. If, for example, you are a Leo and your person is either Aries and Sagittarius, that could already hint soul twin connection, but not if you have that with one sign. Okay, in a soul twin we do have many trines. Your Venus signs may be trining, or your Mars and your person's Venus signs may be trining. You know, you have a lot of trines going on between personal planets, and it would be more stronger if like your Venus is trining the other person's Venus, your Mars is trining the other person's Mars, your Mercury is trining the other person's Mercury. Then it would be even stronger. Or if it's not a trine, then at least in the same element. Let's say you are a Mars in Aquarius and your person would be Mars in Libra or in Gemini, or you would be Mercury in Scorpio and your person would be Mercury in Cancer or Pisces. And if they actually form a connection, which means they are about 120 degrees apart, then it is even stronger than just having it in the same elements. Often they have sun or moon trines, or sun ascendant or moon ascendant trines. So it doesn't have to be sun or moon, but often it is. The man that I loved, the soul twin for my ascension journey, I'm a Virgo and he was a Taurus, and one of my brothers also is a soul twin, and again I'm a Virgo, he is a Taurus. He's still alive, thank God. One thing that can happen, of course, in any kind of connection is you can outgrow them. We were talking about this a bit when they start to be more like best friends and no longer like lovers, or in any kind of connection. For example, it's just an example. I am a Virgo sun, but I do have a strong Aquarius moon. If, for example, I would, throughout my life, maybe in some phases I would be more in the Virgo energy, and in other phases I would be more in the Aquarius energy. And if I switch more to Aquarius, which I basically do, then I'm not as strong in the Virgo energy, and that could mean that my strong connection Virgo to Taurus, it's not as strong as it was before, because I have developed and now I'm not so strong in Virgo anymore. I am stronger in Aquarius. And if the other person doesn't have anything that would match that, then of course you can drift apart when you always grow and evolve throughout your life. So every connection can grow apart. If these kind of connections ever grow apart, then it would most likely not be through some fight, but just in peace. You would grow apart in peace. But as I mentioned, this is a connection that has definitely the potential to last a lifetime. So yes, if you liked it, subscribe for more information on the subjects, and there will be more videos like this. I hope it helped. I hope you liked it, and I do see you in another video or in a personal coaching, and I wish you all the best now. Bye bye.